What's up, sloppers? I'm Idyl, and this is my slop. It's no secret that for the past month or so, a lot of WoW streamers have started migrating towards Old School Runescape, which is weird because for most of my life, RuneScape's been this embarrassing little secret that I can't tell people I play. It wasn't cool like World of Warcraft. That's so stupid. For a long time, Old School Runescape was only for nostalgia-driven goblins, and as a nostalgia-driven goblin myself, but also the president of MMORPGs and someone who's played a lot of World of Warcraft and so much RuneScape, too much RuneScape. I've played too much RuneScape. I have thoughts on why this is happening. Yes, I know everyone else has thoughts too, but mine are more important. I think what's most interesting about this migration to Old School RuneScape is that the very thing that made it kind of this ugly duckling of the MMORPG landscape is now the thing that is driving its popularity. If you look at the vast majority of MMOs out there, they look a lot like World of Warcraft, and they play even more like World of Warcraft. They're these class-based games with a lot of vertical progression, meaning that with every level, every quest, every dungeon, you're getting direct upgrades to your gear and stats and skills or whatever other systems the game has. But all of these games are really kind of the same when you boil them down to their basics. Old School RuneScape, on the other hand, as its name suggests, is a lot more old school. Back in the day, we had a lot more of what are known as Sandbox MMORPGs. Things like Ultima Online, or the first 3D MMORPG, Meridian 59, which I played for 100 hours. I have a video about it. You should go watch that right now. These games typically weren't class-based. They instead had just a bunch of skills that you could level up as you chose to decide how your character did whatever it needed to do. The game might still have things like quests and bosses and dungeons, but it's really non-linear. You weren't progressing zone to zone, with each zone designed for a specific level range. You were just kind of going through the world, backtracking a lot, going wherever you needed to go to accomplish your goals. This is the exact kind of game that RuneScape was modeled after back when it came out in 2001. And when you come from these games like World of Warcraft, when you create a character and log in for the first time and there's no real direction and it's all kind of vague, it can be hard to get into. But that non-linearity is what makes RuneScape so special, and it's what I think a lot of people are finally starting to understand. But we were into it before it was cool, am I right, sloppers? Do you mind if I keep calling you sloppers? I mentioned vertical progression already as what World of Warcraft is. It's about getting more powerful in a very vertical way. You have things like item levels, gear scores that just straight up tell you, are you powerful or are you not powerful? But RuneScape, hand in hand with its non-linear gameplay, has something called horizontal progression. Horizontal progression is really simple. If vertical progression is getting powerful like this, horizontal progression is getting powerful like this. If that didn't explain it, I don't know what will, but I guess I'll give it another shot. In World of Warcraft, if you get a new set of gear, it very likely just straight up replaces your old set of gear. Like, you're not gonna keep it, you'll vendor it, or you'll maybe put it in your storage to never use it again. But in RuneScape, you have these massive banks full of gear and resources because for any given activity, you might need some different items and some different resources. New gear is very rarely just a straight upgrade to be used at all times, although that does happen in RuneScape. It's more so an upgrade for certain situations, like a really good weapon for stabbing versus a really good weapon for slashing. And then you have your bosses who are weak to those different styles, so you have reason to use each piece of gear. Importantly, RuneScape absolutely still has vertical progression. It's more like diagonal progression, where within the horizontal slices, you can vertically move up them. So there's still that very addictive feeling of progression, but because it's so horizontal, there's just straight up more of it. I'm not here to tell you that horizontal progression is objectively better than vertical progression. As someone who's played a lot of World of Warcraft, it was a lot of fun to have vertical progression. Like, it's kind of like brain off, get new gear, feel good, ooga booga, but like in a good way. I really like it. But what makes horizontal progression so good, especially for a game like RuneScape, is how much longer lasting it is. Recently, one of the World of Warcraft streamers, Shobek, said something I thought was really interesting. I find it so fresh that I can play a character that will not be irrelevant 1 year later. I couldn't actually find the clip of him saying it, but yeah, there's a quote, so hopefully this is real. This is true for RuneScape. When you create a character, there is very little reason to ever create another one, and that character can stick with you for years. I still have my original RuneScape character from 2005 that I could go back and play today, and it would be just as relevant as it was back then. This is true to an extent in World of Warcraft. If you created a character in 2004, you can absolutely continue playing it in 2025. Why'd I say 2025 like that? 2025. But World of Warcraft has much more of a sense of FOMO, especially with Classic, which is where a lot of these streamers are coming from. Classic at this point almost feels like a seasonal MMORPG. If you don't play at the launch of a content release, the servers feel kind of dead. And also, like, when a new version of Classic comes out, it's like, might as well create a new character. You want to try the new classes. And there's just a lot of reasons that the game feels more temporary than something like Old School Runescape, which is one of the most permanent MMORPGs I feel like we've ever had. And horizontal progression really enables that feeling. There's also the side benefits of horizontal progression, like your gear not constantly becoming completely obsolete the second a new expansion drops, which is something I find very frustrating. Like, isn't it kind of weird that you spend all your time, like, raiding Naxxramas in vanilla World of Warcraft only for TBC to drop, and then your Naxxramas gear to almost instantly become obsolete from just some regular quests? I find that strange. I find that weird, but you know, that's vertical progression, and some people really like that. Old School RuneScape is a game that I think does the best job of any MMO of rewarding time investment, and especially not ever punishing that. Yes, some things will become less valuable over time because new content comes out, but it happens at a much slower pace, and still to this day, things that came out in like 2007 are still really, really important items. Like the Abyssal Whip, it's no longer one of the premier weapons for endgame bossing, but it's an important milestone for any account, Iron Man or main, and that's super cool. So again, all of RuneScape's design fundamentally is so different from World of Warcraft. And for years, it's been the reason that World of Warcraft players haven't really liked RuneScape. It's a long grind, and progression is slower, and it also is arguably less impactful. So why now? Why are we all of a sudden seeing all of them come over? It's because it gets a lot of views. it's views, baby. It is more complicated than that, but there is an aspect to it that RuneScape players love watching RuneScape stuff. Like, there's 100,000 chunk lock series out there. None of them are doing anything different, but they get 150,000 views because RuneScape people love watching RuneScape. It's really that simple. I mean, I'm joking, but like that is the reason a lot of people have started coming over, but it's not the reason they're staying. I think it's really hard to convince yourself to stay on a game when you hate it so much. We're kind of in an awkward moment with World of Warcraft right now. Classic Anniversary, the re-release of vanilla World of Warcraft, is in a bit of a lull as people wait for the next expansion, the Burning Crusade. Retail World of Warcraft is in a pretty similar spot, waiting for the next expansion, the Midnight? I think it's just called Midnight. And sure, you have Mists of Pandaria Classic coming out, but who cares? Is that rude? I'm sorry if you care. It's kind of the perfect time for these WoW content creators to try something new, and RuneScape is the perfect thing to try because it's not just a cookie cutter MMO that you'll bounce off of, because if you've played WoW, you've probably played New World and Age of Empires. I can't think of another MMO. What's wrong with me? But here's the million-dollar question. Are they going to stick around? I think the answer for a lot of them is pretty obviously no. I mean, they are World of Warcraft content creators. Their main audience wants to see World of Warcraft. When something happens with WoW, they'll go back. And that's fine. That's not a bad thing. That's totally normal. But for a lot of them, the way I'm seeing them interact with the game is really surprising. And by that I mean it seems genuinely earnest, like they're really enjoying the grind. They're really enjoying the differences between RuneScape and the rest of the MMO landscape. I mean, like, come on, you're lying if you thought Soda Poppin' would still be playing RuneScape all these weeks later. Like, we're all shocked about this. Or if you watch Sardako's video about RuneScape where he's clearly trying to be me, like, You didn't have to shave your head and make a green screen video just to be like me. Oh, they think he's copying Jimmy? Yeah, that makes more sense. So as much as I do think they'll go back as soon as something WoW related happens, I think we're gonna see a lot of them stick around in some capacity. And I think that's really cool, especially when we get something new, like maybe the next leagues. We'll see a lot of them play through that for a month or so, and it'll be another huge boom to RuneScape. I think this all goes back to a video I made recently called The WoW Killer, or I forget what I called it. I said in that Final Fantasy XIV was able to kill WoW a couple of years ago, not by doing anything specifically to cater to WoW players. It just waited for World of Warcraft to kinda stumble, and then it was there, ready to accept the WoW refugees. That's exactly what RuneScape has done. It hasn't compromised on its vision or identity to try and appeal to World of Warcraft players. It just kept trying to be a good game, and then when stuff was getting kind of stale with World of Warcraft, it was there, ready to pick up the pieces. And I think that's exactly what any MMO, or game for that matter, that wants a piece of the pie needs to do. Don't try to be something that WoW players or any other massive group of people will like. Just try to be the best version of whatever your design is, and then hopefully people will come over. And that's what's happening with RuneScape, and it's super cool to see. And RuneScape's a really good game, guys. I shit on it a lot because I love it, because I've been playing it for 20 years. It's a good game. Horizontal progression. Is there anything else I have to say? I don't think so. Go subscribe to the main channel. There's a new video coming out soon. Or if you're watching this like a week later, there's a new video out right now. Go watch it. All right, for the rest of this video, I'm just gonna see how far down my throat I can get this microphone.